Hi everyone, my name is Gustav and I work with Snow Software as a software engineer. I'm responsible for building identity on Snow Atlas, our cloud offering. Today, I'm going to show you some of our single sign-on options that we provide and which we've recently extended to include Okta and Auth0. That means that we're now present on the Okta integration network, the Auth0 marketplace, and the Azure App Gallery. What this means for you as a user is that you can make use of your single sign-on across Snow Atlas and your other products, and you'll be able to use your existing setup for multi-factor authentication, and your users will be able to have the same password to sign into Snow Atlas as they do for other services. With the increased benefit that comes from this, I'm today going to demonstrate how to configure Okta for your Snow Atlas tenant. We'll begin by signing in to our tenant, which is currently configured with password-based authentication. Once inside Snow Atlas portal, we'll head over to Snow Atlas settings, to account security, and here we'll create a single sign-on provider configuration. We'll select Okta. Optionally, we can configure user provisioning, which will create the account in your tenant if it does not already exist. You can also optionally enable the provider. If not, the provider configuration will be saved for you to enable at a later stage. In order to fill in these fields, we consult the Snow Docs portal for Snow Atlas. We click on the Snow Atlas settings, authentication, single sign-on, and for this, we'll configure Okta. We can see that the permissions required by this application are the Okta users read, the email, and the profile scope. We also need to find the values to set up Okta SSO in Snow Atlas. These come from the app registration that we have in the Okta integration network. So let's head over there. We will search for Snow Atlas SSO. And once we find it, we'll click Add. We can optionally define the application visibility. We need to define the scopes that are available for this app registration. And we'll need to scroll down to the Okta users read scope and grant that. We then head over to sign on. Here we find the fields that we need to copy. If we check the documentation, we can see that we need to copy the value for client ID, client secret, and issuer. So we will copy the client ID, populate the client ID. We will copy the client secret, populate the client secret. And then, as defined in the documentation, we will open the OpenID provider metadata and copy the value for issuer. So we will open this link. We will copy the issuer value. And we will choose to optionally enable this SSO provider, which means the next time we sign in, we'll sign in with Okta. We can now see that the provider has been enabled, and we can also edit the configuration through this menu. We will go back to our application registration, and we'll go to assignments, and we will define the users in our Okta catalog that will be able to use this application registration. So we assign to groups, and for this, we'll use everyone. Now, let's conclude by signing out and then signing back in, which means we'll go through our existing session in Okta and be automatically signed into the Snow Atlas portal. Having signed in with SSO, we have now verified that the integration works, and we have also selected to automatically create users through provisioning, which means that you do not manually need to add the user into Snow Atlas portal. I hope you found this demonstration useful. And with that, thank you for watching.